Hey guys, Jesse here. Hey, have you ever thought about joining a mastermind or a networking event or going to a retreat, but wasn't sure if it was worth the money or not? Have you ever lost any money doing a real estate deal or been taken advantage of, screwed over, lost money, maybe thousands of dollars, maybe tens of thousands of dollars? Well, if you've been in either of those camps, then you're going to love this next episode because we get into the importance of being around the right people, asking the right questions, and not making mistakes that other people have made when you can learn from it. And also how you can have a shortcut by paying for the knowledge and the people power around you that can help you get your goals and get it done faster. So I really want you to pay special attention to this episode. I think you'll dig it, and let me know what you think. Thanks. Welcome, everybody, to the Creative Cash Flow Show. I'm your host, Jesse Mills, where we gather to learn lifestyle and financial freedom tips. And one of the ways we do that is through real estate. But it's not the only way, but we are here to learn more about cash flow secrets and how you can have multiple streams of income coming in and money coming in while you're sleeping, while you're vacationing, while you're traveling, while you're playing, while you're giving back, while you're working. And I have my good friend here and fellow investor and entrepreneur and leader and coach, Jenni Viken. Thank you for joining me today.
Yeah, thanks. I'm excited to chat.
I want to get like a button like Jimmy Fallon has where it's like, in the background. Like, where do I get one of those buttons?
Right.
Love it. I love it. Thanks for being here today.
Yeah, I'm excited.
So you and I've got a lot of different things we can dive into. One of the things that I think is super, super cool is, you and I were chatting, I think not that long ago, a couple weeks ago, about getting more properties, right? Getting, more short-term rentals and financing challenges. And, and one thing that we kind of both were just laughing about is entrepreneurs that are like, you know what, I don't care what happens. I know I'm going to maybe fail sometimes, or I'm going to have some challenges or some hurdles. They don't expect it to be perfect all the time, and you don't care. And, that is such an important attitude, because if somebody, says, well, if this doesn't work out on my first deal or my first this or first that, it ain't gonna. It's not. You just got to know that. And you got to know there's going to be uh-ohs and things that happen. Now, you can mitigate a lot of that, right? But you also can't let that stop you. And you just got to be honest and learn from it. So I think you are in a position like a lot of folks out there who, are watching and listening, where you've got some properties under your belt. You're looking to grow it. You want to have more. You're gung ho. I freaking love your passion and your fire for what you do. And not just in real estate, but also how you're really helping give back and change the lives for a ton of women and couples out there, which is awesome. So we're going to talk about that and helping them get into this, which is sweet, right? But hey, there's been some challenges, and we got to talk about that. And it's okay to talk about that, because we want folks to learn to not do what we did, right?
Yeah.
And there's other people that we can learn from them, that we can be like, oh shit, well, I shouldn't have done that, or should have done that better, or not done that because I saw or watched, I listened to a podcast or watched a video or was at an event, right? And that's the power of networking and masterminding. We want to talk about that for sure. How we got connected, and then just the different people in our circles together, which is crazy. So I'm going to shut myself up for a little bit, but tell us about you, how you and I got connected, and give us a background on what you got cooking, and we'll get into there's some good stuff coming that you're going to definitely want to listen to, as far as ways that you might think you're stuck and you're not stuck, but ways you think you might be stuck in getting more real estate or even getting your first property. And I'm going to tell you that you don't have to worry about that. And then other ways that you better pay attention, though, because you don't want to lose thousands of dollars or potentially tens of thousands of dollars by just not doing a couple, things, couple steps, right? So
Yeah.
with that?
All right. So
Woo!
my husband and I, we started short-term rental with no experience. We didn't read any books. We didn't listen to any podcasts. We had an apartment above our garage, a full apartment up here on the North Shore in Minnesota. And we just thought, okay, let's just put it on Airbnb, thought of a name, looked around at some prices, got the approvals through the county and got started. Our first couple of
That's
guests
awesome.
actually gave us feedback, very honest feedback. We asked them for that, and they said, "Oh, actually, this is going to bite us in the butt later, but you should actually increase your prices." So we were really surprised at what we could actually charge. And for us, this was our not only our first short-term rental, but it was
Mhm.
very passive because it was a part of our house. We're already paying a mortgage, we're already paying all of our bills, and then we actually had our neighbor do the cleaning for us. So our house was set up even where at times we didn't even know, people were there. And that
That's
was a
cool.
great deal. It was a great deal for us. And then
How did you like that? Having like people at your house. It's like a real B&B. It's not the Airbnb. It's a real B&B practically.
yeah, and it was kind of cool because the way our house was set up, like the garage was over here, and then our house was over this way. There was
Mhm.
like an office connecting, and so like our deck was out this way, their deck was out that way, and they parked, in the driveway closest to the road. And so there
Mhm.
was times, like I said, we wouldn't even know if they were there or not. And up here, and
Yeah.
especially the guests that we attracted, they would leave early in the morning to go hiking and to go sightseeing, and they come back late at night. So it was very rare that they were even there during the day.
Mhm.
And then we thought we were originally just gonna, do this on weekends or whatever. It just we opened up the schedule and it just booked in the peak season
And
full.
you're like, "Okay, let's go. It's booking. We'll take it,"
And
right?
so at that time, our mindset was still a little bit different. We were like, oh, we're gonna take this money and we're gonna pay it on our mortgage. We hadn't kind of
Mhm.
we hadn't read some books, investment books, and we hadn't listened to the podcast yet. So we were kind of doing that at first, just putting the
Mhm.
money back into our mortgage. And then that's when we got into, I was reading Jack Canfield's book, Success Principles, and it said, you get to a certain point in whatever you're doing, and you need to find a mentor, someone who is at the level that you want to be at. So that's when I kind of reached out to a couple of people in the community and asked them for their advice. And in this, what I found in this community, at least the people
Mhm.
that I've been involved with, you and the others, they're just really open to sharing and giving information to make
Mhm.
sure that you're successful as well. And so then that kind of changed our mindset. We got into a couple of short-term rental groups, Facebook groups, podcasts. We read, Rich Dad Poor Dad, all of
Love it.
the books.
Yeah. Love it.
And we were like, okay, we can take this money from this apartment and we can put it into another place. And
Mhm.
so, at the time we were refinancing our house and we realized that we could even take the equity out of our house and as a down payment. But at the same time, we were investing in the stock market. And that was really hard for us, like 2019 into 2020,
Mhm.
where we actually pulled our money out in 2020 because we got scared and we lost a lot of money. And we're thinking how we need to do something different with our money.
So
And so
you
that's when
you took it out of the market, and you were
yeah,
scared of what the
we took
market
it
was
out
gonna
because
do.
we got scared and we lost a lot of money. And we thought, do we wait to put it back in? And that's
Yeah.
when we were at the same time doing all of this other education and
Mhm.
realized, what, we can use this as a down payment. So then all of a sudden we had the equity from our house and we also had the money from the stock market. So we realized we could buy, another property. And then we actually bought 80 acres with a cabin that we're
Dang.
working on cabins and maybe campsites and RV sites and stuff like that.
Woo!
But
I love
so
that.
like all of that was kind of happening. And then obviously before I met you, and knew more about, creative financing, or even took your retreat where I learned so much more about short-term rental and about all of the people and the things that you need to be successful and be safe. So we
Thank you.
bought the 80 acres off of Craigslist. It was a really great deal. We already have a
Craigslist.
lot. Yes, we
Was
already
it
have
was
a
it was it listed on the MLS or just Craigslist?
just Craigslist. So
Okay.
this guy actually was very picky about it was almost an interview process. He had had a lot of people try to buy it from him. He wanted to make sure because it's the big red and white pines and it's 80 acres. You could actually go in and log it and make a lot of money off of that. He
Mm,
wanted to make sure that he was selling it to someone that wouldn't just come in and clear out the whole thing.
gotcha.
And
Gotcha.
so we passed his test. We got that under contract up, and we had a cabin under contract. We also had we did a partnership into Harvard. So like we kind of went fast after we had the apartment. We went, we got three other places.
Wow.
Um,
So it went
but
from one in your home and then bam, like three.
mhm.
And one was a partnership and one was what? Bank financing?
Yeah, yep,
Okay.
that was the financing.
Yep. Okay.
And so we looked again on Craigslist for some land. We were like, okay, there's some more land, 14 acres on a lake in Wisconsin. We can do some yurts or something. Obviously, we had tapped out at that point at on our traditional financing or conventional financing. So we couldn't at that time qualify for more loans. And so we had heard a lot about seller financing and contract for deed. We knew that it was a thing, but we didn't really check into, the right and the wrong way to do that. And so my
Mhm.
husband went, he met this guy. It was an older guy, I want to say in his 80s, even or late 70s. Had some land, was a nice guy, a,
Nice old man. Nice,
a
nice
grandpa,
grandpa. Yeah.
and he signed the contract on the spot, gave him $6,000 down payment,
6,000
um,
down. What was the purchase price?
58,000.
58. So almost 10%. Actually, a little over 10%. Yeah.
Yeah, and so
Yeah.
then it was, I think 12% interest even, so it was a high interest rate per
Mm,
month, but we were okay with that because it's right next to a snowmobile trail and an ATV trail. We thought, yurts or some glamping sites would be great there.
mhm,
Obviously, we can't do a lot. We couldn't do a lot up front because we didn't have the deed and you can't pull permits from the county to do like well, septic, all that kind of stuff unless you're the
mhm,
owner of the property. At least that was our understanding. So we made several payments to him while we were trying to figure out, what we wanted to do there. We actually even thought at one point, because fast forward, we were thinking about selling our house, and then we actually did. But we had thought about one point building a house there and actually living there.
mm. Wow.
So there was a lot of options.
Okay. And sorry, where did you find this guy in the property?
So we found that on Craigslist
Okay,
in
so you found him
Wisconsin.
on Craigslist. Okay.
Yep.
And in Wisconsin, and you met him, gave him the money right there. Like
Signed the contract. He
cashier's
had
check,
the
cash. How'd you pay him?
just a personal check.
Personal check. How'd you know it was going to be a 12% interest rate?
It
Was
was
that
on he had it all printed up in advance. So he had several lots for sale,
okay?
several parcels around this lake.
I'm just curious. I'm curious as a marketer, right? And somebody who advertises, and I've sold a lot of real estate on Craigslist. I've bought stuff on Craigslist. Did he have the terms listed there, or was it very vague?
It was the terms were listed.
So you knew you were putting down, a little over 10% down and
Mhm.
12% interest rate based on that.
Or wait, it was I think it was 6% interest rate, 6%, I believe. I can't remember now, but yeah,
Okay.
it was something higher than we expected, but we still were okay with that, thinking that, at some
Well,
point we're
six
gonna
isn't too bad, but 12 is a little up there.
get a loan
Yeah.
for it, pay it off, and do something big there. You know what I mean? So I'd
Hmm.
even met with a commercial loan officer to like see, what can we do on the commercial side
Hmm.
to get financing to pay him his 58,000, right? Because we knew at some point we wanted to pay it off to be able to do like some kind of well septic thing.
Hmm.
But just to get it and purchase it, we did the seller finance contract for deed. He gave us not his he gave us a fake name. So he gave us his middle name and a different last name.
Mm.
But regardless, we did not look him up.
Now,
After that,
did you use a realtor for this at all?
no.
Did you use a title company for this at
No.
all? And so the actual signing of it, where did you do the signing of the paperwork?
They did the signing of the paperwork at the property on the spot that day. And he had
So
the plat map and he had all of the different properties with the parcel numbers, and seemed legit to us because of course we didn't have any other experience or knowledge.
Now the price, how did you guys come to the price on it? Did you do any, background
Mm-mm.
info to figure out if that's a good price, bad price?
No, I mean, we'd been looking for land and we bought the 80 acres already. And so we thought because it was on a lake and 14 acres that it was a really great deal.
Mhm, mhm.
But yeah, we did not at that time, we were still not like formally analyzing these properties to ensure that the numbers were going to work, or even to have a business plan. I mean, now we're working on a business plan for our 80 acres to really, you
Mhm.
know, figure out what we're doing there. We just kind of bought it thinking we're going to do something and it was going to be super fun to do some kind of, you know,
Yeah. So you're just
something.
you're just really excited to get this
Yeah.
thing, and you're like, "I'm sorry, what? Seller financing?" So you're like,
I
"I'm
know,
in,
that's what we were excited about.
and
Like,
we
oh,
need
we
the
get to do seller
banks."
financing. Everybody's talking about it. And yeah, it's like
Now
the
now
next.
this yeah, you're juiced about it. I get it. When I hear those words, I get excited. So this was before we met, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Okay. Okay. Now how did you find me and how did we get connected?
Yeah. So we're on, I think, some investment group together, small North Shore investment group.
Mhm. Yeah.
And we've only, I don't even know if we talked before, but, I kind of come onto that group and said, we're out of traditional financing or conventional financing. We're trying to figure out how we can scale without doing more loans. And that's where you said that, you kind of said that you had this retreat coming up that was, what is it called?
Well,
Creative
it's got a nice
financing, right? It was
yeah.
creative
It's
financing.
got it's got a nice short little name like how to create your Airbnb empire with creative financing.
Yeah.
Just, nice
Yeah.
and short and
Okay.
sweet. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it was like a no brainer. I was like, yep, that's the next thing we need to do. I signed up for it, like without really even, I thought about it, but I knew it was the right thing to do. Went to that retreat, not knowing anyone, and just really wanted to
Yeah.
learn the right way.
And you had a great time, right?
Yes, it was amazing. It was incredible. I was really
Oh,
nervous thinking I had no prior experience with investors or anyone else. And then I was going to go spend a weekend
yeah.
with, I thought was probably primarily men, but there were some women there, and it was actually it was really good. And that's where I learned so much, right, about real estate attorneys, having the right CPA. And after that retreat, we just came back and we just made a ton of changes in our business to really change this. This is not a hobby. This is a business, and we need to treat it like a business. And just taking all of the information that you provided,
Awesome.
and made those changes. So
Yeah.
yeah, had I known you prior to signing that, doing that seller financing. But even at that time, we didn't know until probably December, January, that it was actually a scam. So,
That
um,
sucks. I'm so sorry you had to go through
but
that.
yeah, and you know what we're so grateful for. So at first we were kind of like, no way. We called the county to see, like, can we get permits? Can we put in any kind of, you know, bathroom, community shower, anything without really having the title and deed in our name?
Mhm.
Because we've done the seller financing, the parcel number we gave them, it was flagged immediately. They sent us directly to the investigator for Washburn County. It
Mhm.
was like a Friday at 4 o'clock. We had to have this interview with her. We had to send her the document, and that's where she confirmed that he had indeed sold the same property to several people. And there was a
Whoa.
lot of lawsuits already against him pending. He was not even allowed to sell real estate in the state of Wisconsin. And that's why the
This is a bad
invest.
grandpa. This is a bad
Yeah.
grandpa.
And so when you really Google his real name, oh, he's been in federal prison. He has a list of aliases, and he has all of his money tied up in secret places. And, we had
Wow.
to get a lawyer. So, like, yeah, we were kind of bummed, obviously, that we probably lost about 8 grand total because we'd made him
Mm,
pay several payments. But in the big picture, when we met with the lawyer, he really set us straight because luckily there was these lawsuits against him. Luckily, he was in trouble with the state of Wisconsin because we signed a contract for 58,000. It doesn't matter if we were buying a piece of land or if we were buying, you know, this a piece of this trust. It wasn't truly, it was truly we were buying into a trust and
Yeah.
not getting real estate. And so
Wow.
for us, we're super grateful that we don't owe 58,000. And I mean, even the lawyer had said he can technically report us to, the credit agencies for non-payment, and because we stopped paying him while we were getting the lawyer. And he has since canceled the contract with us, but still, I mean, it was a huge
Wow.
lesson to learn, but we're super grateful that it wasn't the 58,000 because
Absolutely.
you have to do your own due diligence. You can't sign a contract and not run it by an attorney. Because
Oh.
again, it doesn't matter what we were purchasing. We signed a
No,
contract to make him payments to pay him $58,000 for something.
even though it's fraudulent though.
Yeah.
That's crazy. Okay,
Mhm.
so okay, there's a lot to unpack here. So I've got some ideas and things that I want to make sure we talk about, but I don't want to put words in your mouth. I want to hear from you first. But this is interesting. I never actually thought about this until literally right now. The money you spent to come to my Airbnb event, the money you spent to come to that was less than you lost on this shitty but positive learning experience. But right, this thing you went through, and maybe had you invested that money into that, you would not have done that. Now you also got a bunch of good lessons out of it, which is great, and lessons that'll probably pay for itself tenfold, in the future. But you also maybe would have not lost that, right? So it's interesting. Like I think and I know that you're going to pay to be in business one way or another. You're going to pay by mistakes, or you're going to pay by investing in shortcuts. And I can tell you that for myself, I have never invested more in myself, in my own business and my network and right self-education than I have in the last probably 3 years, 3 to 4 years. And I've never also seen a dramatic year after year after year increase in revenue and also, flexibility as I have with that. So I think it kind of correlates, right? But it's interesting because you're going to learn and you're going to pay one way or another, but how do you want to do it? You know? So what did you learn from this?
Yeah, I mean, for us, I mean, like I said, we were pretty bummed, and some people I
Yeah.
know would probably throw in the towel and be
Oh,
like,
for
"This isn't
sure.
for us." 8 grand is a lot of money. It truly is, but
Oh, they'd be done.
for
They'd be
us,
like,
we're just
forget
like, you
this.
know what? Like you said, I mean, it's an $8,000 learning experience in attorneys and law, and we just take it as like we're just paying for education the wrong way. But like it truly has shown us that, there's a right way to do something and not just to jump ahead. And there's all these they call it what, the shiny
Shiny object syndrome.
yeah, you're right. You
Uh-huh.
get that. You get into real estate and all of a sudden it's like, oh my gosh, I want to do this and I want to do this. And it's a real thing. And so we just kind of really jumped into that. Oh, now we get to do seller financing. This is actually going to be exciting to see where this goes. And reality, had I known you prior to that or had taken that course, we would have a real estate attorney
Mhm.
to even, run some of those things by. So, I mean, for us, it's learning. We look back and we can laugh at it. We can say like, "Oh boy, that is dumb," and we're just like
I
making
mean, look at you,
mistakes.
just smiling and laughing about, which I love
I
because
know.
honestly, so many people would have just thrown in the towel. They would have been like, "Oh my god, the whole world is a scam and everyone's out to get me and someone's going to say, 'I told you so,' right? Some family member at
Yeah,
Christmas is like, 'I told you not to do that. That's why I just go to my job I hate for the next 80 years.'" Right? And they're right and they give up. But it's like, "No, you learned and you definitely, there's a saying that goes, those who pay attention." And it's
yeah,
true,
uh-huh.
right? Because you really pay attention when you're paying and you're losing money or investing money. And so, if it was $50, maybe it would have gone over your head a little bit. $8,000, you remember that one. That stings,
Exactly.
right? And think about it this way too. Like, imagine if that would have been a, $200,000 piece of property. Okay. And you can answer if you want to, you don't have to, but I think, if it's $200,000 piece of property and the guy said, I need 50 G's down, and you saw what you could do with this, you probably would have done it still, right?
Yeah, I
So
mean, I
it
had
wasn't
gone.
like you only had 8 grand. And if you only had eight, you
Yeah.
only had eight. But that could have been 50, could have
Mhm,
been 20,
mhm.
could have been 80,
Yeah, I mean,
right?
I went to the bank and I sat down with the commercial loan officer. He kind of said, this last sentence here in this contract doesn't seem right. And I was like, I just kind of blew it off a little bit because he didn't seem so super concerned. But I mean, it literally said something like, "This is not a contract to purchase property." It was the very last sentence. You know what I mean? And I was like, okay. And he told me everything I had to do, all the documentation I needed to get from all of our other places to get, this financing for 58,000. And so I was ready to do it. If he would have cut me a check for 58,000, I would have gone and closed on this property. So yeah, if it was, if it was a good deal, I mean, we were
Yeah.
thinking 14 acres, we could do like three or four yurts or glamping sites. It wasn't just that we were going to put one thing on that property.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, no, it could have gone way worse. And like you said, yeah, it could have been thousands, hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Yeah. Wow. Okay. So, so those of you who are going, oh my God, this poor sweet woman and her husband, I feel so bad for them, but she still got a smile on her face. She's still laughing, which I love. And you're like, okay, whatever, chalk it up, learn, on to the next, right? Keep on going, keep on going. But there's some huge takeaways here. Okay. So, number one, I mean, you didn't have an agent representing you. I'm not saying you always have to have a realtor. And there might be people listening or watching saying, Jesse, I bought dozens of things, hundreds of things without an agent. That's fine. But you have the experience you have to look for. You really know how to read contracts, right? But typically, I'm going to say get a licensed agent, not just a licensed agent, get a licensed agent who actually understands investments, right? And this wasn't even a real estate deal. This was personal property. This is a trust. I mean, this is like oranges and eggs. It's not even apples and oranges. You know what I mean? Not even the same thing, right? Or have a real estate attorney ready to go. Have a real estate attorney to look at it. Have a couple in your back pocket if you whenever you need them, right? Always close with the title company or an attorney. Always, always, always. Don't be the guy or the gal that's trying to be cheap and save a few $100 or a couple $1,000 because you don't want to pay title insurance. Um, this would have 100% gotten figured out in that process, right? Or probably with an agent or with an attorney. Like there's three different ways it probably would have come to fruition that like this is a scam run. Checking IDs, for example, even. I mean, that's something that gets done, right? So all of those things you want to make sure you just there's expenses involved in doing this, but you're doing it the right way. And it's an investment. It is. And oftentimes, again, not giving any tax advice or legal advice, but oftentimes consult with your accountant. A lot of these are, write-offs. There's expenses that you can write off anyways as part of the deal. But yeah, so here's the thing, guys. Like if you're not going to give up after one little setback, right? And hopefully those people that you and I hang out with, that's not the people that are doing that, right? They're saying, "Oh man, that sucks. I learned, but I'm on. Let's keep going, right?" Life's a lot tougher than that, so you got to be tough. But there's things that you got to change, and so learn from others, and don't do the same thing if you've heard from someone else that did it. So and like I said, the networking, right? So if you had other people that you could call that have been through this already, that's
Mhm.
powerful, isn't it? It's
Yeah.
powerful. Like, hey, it was so great meeting you at this event, at this retreat, in this mastermind, in this group I'm in. And hey, this seems a little fishy. What do you think? Oh my God, Jenni, no, 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 no. Like that's invaluable. And that would have been one lesson one time, right? Think $8,000, let alone everything that comes from it down the road. You don't even know what that could turn into.
Right.
So oftentimes, by trying to be frugal, or let's just say even cheap, or being scared, right? Um, you're really costing yourself 10x, 100x in either lost opportunity or what you could flush down the toilet doing some bad stuff, you know. But you gotta have a rock star attitude like you. Just keep going and admit it and laugh about it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Which I love it. I love it. Love it. Love it.
Yeah, a lot of people wouldn't even mention it to anyone. I'm like, hey, guess what we did?
I know, you're just like publishing it and like getting out there. Yeah, no, thank you for that. It's awesome to share this story, right? And everybody goes through this stuff, at some point, one way or another. So, power of people is huge. The networking is huge. Um, and I give you kudos for again a big huge theme with like everyone that's on the show is someone who they read, they listen to podcasts, they watch, YouTube videos, they're buying books, they're going out and joining events, masterminds, and networking, meetup groups, right, RIAs, and they know that there's just so much education out there. Some of it's free, some of it's expensive, but it all depends on how serious you want to take this and where you want to go. And I kind of liken it to college, right? I think it's funny where a couple of the programs that I have, for example, are between 10,000 and 20,000 for coaching, and some people go, "Oh my God, no way, I can't do that," and like they drop the phone and fall over, and others, not the majority, but others will be like, "Wait a minute, so how long can how long does it take for me to make that back? Like one deal, two deals, three deals, four deals? Oh,
Mhm.
okay, right." Or what could I have saved that on, right? And like a mistake. And so I think it's funny, like, people will go to college and they'll spend, 20, 30, 40,000 a year. I mean, a lot more than that at certain places a year for 4 years, maybe five or six, maybe seven, eight, to be how much in debt and not even know what they're going to make in 4 years. Not even know what they're going to do necessarily. Let's be honest, most people switch. I just read a stat. Only 30% of people with degrees do what their degree is. 30%. It's crazy, right? But everybody does that, and that's totally, okay. But if you or I could, share secrets with somebody on how to make six figures, and it would cost them, whatever, but they could make that back in 6 months,
Mhm.
even a year, maybe a couple months, and people say no, right? So it blows my mind. So you gotta just, liken it to what you're used to investing in and spending um, for education, because you're gonna learn through
Mhm.
mistakes or from those around you.
Yeah, definitely. And I know from your retreat too, just having that accountability and that accountability partner, and, just having
Mhm.
you as a resource and a mentor to
Oh,
be able to
thanks.
call and say, like, hey, this is
Yeah,
what we got going on. What is your advice? It's just invaluable. I mean, I spent the upfront money, to go through the retreat to get the information and the knowledge. And then in addition to that, I still meet with Eric. That was last October, and Eric and I still keep in touch. We still
that's so great.
are accountability partners, check in, give each other tips, and
I love that.
just setting those goals, right? Like we set goals of, how many more properties we want. We were in the hot seat. That's when, I mean, so much changed for us in our lives. We put our house on the market. I mean, it just like our entire life changed just basically going to one retreat and really having our eyes open about being passionate about what we want to do, where we want to be, and then having the tools and resources there
Yeah.
to get where we want to be. So it's just really exciting. I'm super grateful for you and all that you're
Oh,
doing.
thank you. I'm so grateful for you, and I'm so grateful that we got connected and that you made the decision to invest in yourself and take the time out of your schedule to do that. I know you're very busy, you have a lot going on, and invest the money. And like I said, you went through, you didn't know anybody at all. You're like, am I going to be the only woman here? And like, I going to be surrounded by all these people who have like tons of properties, and you realize that, hey, I actually have more experience than some people, and I can help, right?
Yeah.
And you're sharing and giving and teaching to other people that are below you in the terms of just experience, right?
Mhm.
Or where they're at with their investing business and their short-term rental business. And then there's other people that you're listening to and learning from. So that's a super cool thing. And you got to get in those rooms because you never know who you're going to meet and what it could turn into. You might meet your next partner, business partner in there, who says, hey, you know what, I've got capital, but I am so slammed with my day job or my business. I don't have time to talk to guests and go find the stuff and run it, and I don't want to deal with cleaners. And you're like, oh, I got that hands down. I can do that all day long, right? And then there's other people who are saying, hey, I don't have the money right now because of this and that. Um, and but hey, I've got hustle and I've got experience, and I'll go do this and learn this, and I've got time. And then so you're meeting those people, And just being in the room, having those conversations, especially if it's somewhere cool, right?
Yeah.
And a beautiful setting, and you know, having some cocktails and some good food, and with just cool people. But then it's all of a sudden like, hey, what if we do this? What if we do that? And next thing you know, that's your next property or next handful of properties, which is really cool. So yeah, I think events are the way to go. I love it, and you just got to be around the right people that energize you. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Because
definitely.
there's a lot of naysayers, there's a lot of doubters, there's a lot of people who, especially from your story, oh, I love it. I mean, they wouldn't have walked away, they would have ran away, and they'd be done, and they'd, maybe be going back to something that they don't love, they don't like, or maybe they hate, but they don't want to be that person who something bad happened to, real bad in their opinion, but then it's bad every day, right?
Yeah.
Like, no, thank
Yeah.
you. I'll take one bad learning lesson from a bad day, week, month, year, lifetime, right?
Right.
Which is
Exactly.
nuts. So let's chat for a little bit more, because I want to talk a little bit more too about networking and masterminds, because I think it's crazy that we have similar friends that I had no clue you knew them, and you didn't know that I knew them, and how you got connected. And really, the world's a lot smaller than you think, and there's a good, I'd say, caliber of people out there that want to learn, want to share, want to give, and you just never know how that's going to turn into the next thing. But like, here you are in another group. So let's talk about that and how you're helping other women, and couples and families, but really women who are making a big change and kind of need help from someone like you.
Yeah, so I mean, I've been in unhealthy relationships before. I was in an unhealthy marriage. Money and finances is one of the hardest things to leave those relationships.
Mhm.
It's like you have a house, you have cars, you have debt, you have all this stuff. You don't have, the extra finances to even leave, or to get an apartment, or to get, any other type of housing. And, so I was in a position where I had a really good job, but I couldn't qualify for even a one-bedroom apartment. And really just not having the knowledge of financing, not only having one, stream of income, that, we were in bankruptcy and foreclosure and all of these things.
Mhm.
And after leaving that relationship, I really had to transform my life in all areas. And the finance piece was a huge part of it. I told myself, and even I, recently got my real estate license. And up until, taking that, I was like, I am not good at math. I'm not good with money. We tell ourselves these stories. In
Mhm.
reality, it's like, okay, I can get passionate about math and the numbers because we have all these businesses. I love real estate. So now let's figure out how, I can bring that in, and just really, I left corporate last year, and I think 2020
Good for
taught
you.
us that. Yeah,
Yeah,
2020
congrats.
taught us that nothing is forever, nothing is guaranteed. And having multiple streams of income, even multiple streams of income within each property,
Mhm.
is the way to go. I mean, we can't just count on one stream of income. Obviously, Airbnb even shut down for a couple of weeks or a couple of months. So I'm just super passionate about helping women with their finances and creating multiple streams of income, understanding what healthy relationships are. I'm now working with some young moms in Duluth, and really just working with them to be a mentor, and,
That's awesome.
make sure that they understand what healthy relationships are, and, have respect and confidence, and really just believe in themselves, having someone to just really love on them, and, have that belief in them.
Mhm. That is God.
So
That's so
I
good
mean,
for
there's just
you.
so many people that we can help, and I think that's the
Mhm.
the huge thing, that I went from corporate to like really just serving. Who can I serve? Even with our short-term rentals, it's like we want to create just an incredible place for families to be able to come on vacation, make memories for a lifetime. For us, it's not just like get another one, have 100 doors. It's really like we put our heart and soul and love into each of these places. At the
Totally.
same time, obviously, creating generational wealth, showing our children are all adults, young adults now. Our youngest daughter just turned 20. So really showing
Oh,
them, our son Blake is helping us with a rehab of one of the short-term rentals, and now him and my husband might do a flip. So like just really
that's
showing
so
them
awesome.
that. But
Love that. Yeah,
I
I
don't
mean,
know. It's
they're the kids are
really
learning.
exciting to take to just serve people, and like how can I help in, in the communities? How can I help other women, other couples? We're mentoring a couple right now in short-term rental that, it's really new to them, and there's scary things, and they've had to, they had to put in a new septic, and things that they didn't anticipate, and we're there to cheer them on and be like, don't let this get you down. This is going to be, so worth it in the long run, and just really be the cheerleader for them to create this investment for them and their family as well.
Yeah, no, I think that is awesome. And I love what you're doing. And I mean, you didn't come from money. You didn't just, wake up and have all these properties. You didn't, have someone who did it for you and you fell into it, right? Like you had to, pick yourself up
Mhm.
and you were not, you didn't come from a place of education with this. And a lot of people, I certainly didn't. I didn't come from a financial education and a financial background. Definitely did come from money, right? Wasn't on the streets, but I also didn't realize how amazing my family was with making the world seem like we had a lot when we really didn't, right?
Mhm.
And coming from a very very lower middle class background, and but getting to that point of saying, hey, you know what, someone else is in my shoes, and if I can help them with that confidence to get over that, and yeah, maybe you don't have a financial background and a money mindset that is where it should be, but to say, hey, it's possible to change it, how to get it done, and the steps, and it's not overnight. But I love that you're helping in that area and doing it. So it's very needed, very very needed, especially I mean in the economy that we're in, that it's nuts, right? I mean, record inflation right now. And I mean, if you have money sitting in the bank, I don't care if it's $100 or $100,000, it is literally losing money every day
Mhm.
unless it's making 9%. And then you break it even.
Yeah,
Even.
exactly.
That's crazy, right? So you gotta work towards getting assets that are, helping you bring in cash flow and helping you create that generational wealth. And you owe it to your kids, right?
Mhm.
To do it, and they're learning, which is great. So my kids are on the younger side, right? Will be 8 and 10 here next month. But when I say, "Hey kids, Daddy bought a new unit. Let's go check it out," and they're like, "Oh great, what is this all about?" And they get all excited. Or if I'm looking at something, they ask me questions about it, and they'll definitely start getting into it even more as they get older with the plans and whatnot. But I think that if you're not exposed to it, it's difficult. So what you're doing is really really cool by being out there and exposing other women to it.
Yeah, it's fun.
Very fun. It's very 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 fun. Yeah, one thing you said about the vacations and the memories, right? I was standing at one of my properties, and we have two side by side, right? And so that was a strategic play, by the way. It wasn't happenstance. I was showing a friend of mine a few units for sale, and I didn't realize the one right next door was for sale. And I said, "Hey, man," I said, "you know, I gotta be careful because I'm acting as your agent, but I'm out shopping too." So I said, "Hey, if you want it, it's yours. But if you like those other two, I'd love to take this one because it's right next door to my other one." So I've got two side by side, and they sleep 20 people between the two of them. So we can get bigger groups and big families and extended families, and like the rowdy kids over there, right? And the adults in the other one. And so it's cool. So I was in one of those units, and I was staying there by myself, up for a couple of days, and I was just watching. That sounds really bad. So watching the people next door, they're on their deck, right? They're on their deck, and they're just having a good time and laughing. And I was out on my deck. I'm like, that's so cool. Like this whole family's just having a great time, laughing and making memories and having a great time. And like I get paid from this, and they're making memories and having a great time. And it's super cool. Like this is like I just felt really really blessed. It was really fun. So yeah, it's more than just cash flow and
Mhm.
assets and ROI for sure, 100%.
Oh yeah, it's rewarding to see their reviews and their comments and all the fun things, and they're so grateful for you and providing this place for them. It's worth
Hmm.
it.
Yeah, yeah, 100%. Well, where can we find more about you and where can people connect with you, Jenni?
Yeah, so we have we're on Instagram now for our real estate. For other things like I wrote a book called Choosing Healthy Relationships.
I'm sorry,
I'm on
what? You wrote a book? You're just going to drop that now?
Yeah, and so for that kind of stuff, it's a Jenni Viken or at Jenni Viken on Instagram, Jenni Viken on Facebook. But for
So
our real estate,
Jenni
yep, VI,
Viken
yep, exactly.
at Jenni
And
Viken on Insta, at
yep,
Jenni Viken on Facebook.
yep. And
And
then we created an Instagram account for our investments. You can follow us there. It's empty nesters underscore investors. So we
ooh,
became empty nesters at the same time that we started in real estate. So we're starting to document our investments there, our rehabs before and after, some fun things. We have 80 acres. With our 80 acres, we got this big green tractor. So it's been a fun time to document some of these things. So
that is awesome. It's awesome. I cannot look at you and think empty nester at all, but it's awesome.
it
Good
is
for you guys.
crazy.
Good for you guys. That's awesome. Well, so tell us about your book. That's freaking
Yeah,
awesome that
it's
you have a
called
book out.
Choosing Healthy Relationships. It started out to be a self-help book for domestic violence. However, it just talks about healthy relationships in general. It does focus on conflict resolution, healthy communication, health, mental health, physical health. So when I originally wrote it, it was for, survivors of domestic violence or women that are in unhealthy relationships. However, found out that is actually a good book for anyone and everyone. Really primarily younger teens and young adults, instead of focusing just on after the trauma has already happened. I've been like, God's calling me to now work with the younger generation to help, them instill confidence in them and
So important.
understand what's healthy and what's not. I think, there's always control manipulation is just a part of our DNA. As kids, they're always trying to figure out what they can get away with and what they can't, and where that crosses the line of being healthy and unhealthy.
Ooh, yeah, that's
Um,
awesome.
so yeah, we have a lot going on, but it just to me it all like comes together. Some people get confused. What are you doing? I have my real estate license and a business broker. I just got a lot going on, but like we love it. And when you're really working and you're the assignment that God gave you, it's not like a job at all, right? You know that too. Like we could do this
Totally.
on the weekends, we could do this at 10 at night.
Hmm.
It's just really that freedom and feeling great about what you're doing and who you're serving and who you're helping.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I can tell you a theme I've definitely discovered, on the show, and of course, even before the show, is just those who really do what they're passionate about and don't feel like it's work. And it sounds cheesy to a lot of people who haven't found that and haven't been there yet. And I used to even kind of joke, long ago, I'm like, okay, it's don't work a day in my life. But really, like when you get excited for what you're doing and who you're serving and the impact you can make, and obviously you can, still provide a financial living, for yourself and your family and do that, it's really awesome. So you're definitely living the example of it. I dig it. I dig
It's
it,
fun.
dig it, dig it. So at Jenni Viken for on Insta and Facebook. And then your website, if they want to go check out the book,
Yep,
jenniviken.com,
jennyviking.com.
jenniviken.com. Awesome. Awesome. And so gang, you've heard Jenni mention a couple of times here the retreat and mastermind event that I put on last fall. We have another one coming this fall. Dates still to be announced. Okay, but if you're interested and you want to get some more information or be in the list to hear about it right away, because it's not a huge group. We'll probably be between 14 and 16 people. That's it. I like it small on purpose. I like it intimate, and everybody gets to really get connected. And I mean, you feel like family by the end. Heck, halfway through, right? It's really cool. You're really getting immersed with people. And so, if you have any interest in learning more about that and being in the list to know exactly when the dates are out, hit me up at the Jesse Mills. You can DM me on Insta On Facebook, the Jesse Mills, the Jesse Mills, or shoot me a text 612-662-6629, 612-662-6629, and shoot me a text, and I'll respond to you that way too. So I know I'll see you at the next one, right?
Yes, for sure. Yep. My
Absolutely.
husband will probably go too. We're probably gonna both go and see what we can learn from there. Totally worth every penny.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, it was a great time. I freaking loved it. It was literally one of my funnest like weeks of my year. And I was just super pumped to be able to create it and met so many amazing people like you. And it was a blast. So,
Yeah.
well, I'll keep you in the loop on that. And you keep me in the loop on anything I can help you with. You know that.
Awesome. Yep. Thank you.
And thanks for joining. I appreciate it.